All right, let's get right into it. If you're a European founder, you know that expanding to the United States is pretty much the holy grail. But, with all the chaos of strategy, funding, and logistics, there's one single question that really trumps them all. Is it the right time?
Yeah, we've all heard this one, right? It's supposed to get you fired up, to seize the day and just go for it. And look, a lot of times, that's absolutely the right advice. But, and this is a big but, when we're talking about launching in the US market, that simple advice, it gets really complicated really fast. Because let's be honest, the US economy is going to be just fine without you. Your company, on the other hand, might absolutely need the US to hit that next level. So the real question isn't if you should go, it's when. And if you get that timing wrong, well, the consequences can be absolutely brutal. And that brings us to what we're calling the timing conundrum. See, timing your US entry isn't just some box to check on a strategy doc. It's a harsh reality check. A brilliant idea launched at the wrong moment can fail. I mean, spectacularly. And there's a powerful story that illustrates this perfectly. Okay, just think about this idea for a second. Mining asteroids. I mean, it is straight out of a sci-fi movie, right? And it was backed by some of the smartest people on the planet. Peter Diamandis' company, Planetary Resources, was going to make this a reality. A truly visionary concept. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. You've got Elon Musk, a guy who knows a thing or two about moonshots, looking at this. And he loved the idea. He praised it. But he also gave this really critical warning. He said the tech to actually pull it off wasn't even theoretically there yet. He thought they were decades too early. And you know what? He was spot on. The timing was just off. By 2020, the company was gone. Its assets all sold off. It's just a really stark reminder that even the best ideas with the best people behind them cannot defy the simple reality of timing. So let's look at the signs that you might be about to make that same mistake. So how do you know? How do you know if you're about to jump the gun? Let's break down the red flags, the signs that your US launch is just premature. Sometimes the best way to figure out what to do is by first understanding what not to do.
All right, let's do a quick little diagnostic check. First up, are you heading to the US with basically just a PowerPoint deck? Huge red flag. US investors, they want to see a working product, a proof of concept, not just a dream on paper. They are betting on your ability to execute, not just on your idea. Second, have you actually proven your model works in Europe? Look, if you can't find success in your own backyard, the US is going to be a much tougher beast to tame. And finally, have you really truly done the research on the specific US market you're aiming for?
This story about a Dutch bicycle company is the perfect example of that last point. So, they launch in 2 states, California and Texas. California loved their eco-friendly bikes. It was a perfect fit. But Texas, a market built on big cars and trucks, yeah, not so much. The huge takeaway here is so important. The US is not one single market. It's like 50 different markets. Treating Texas like California is like trying to sell the same thing in Spain and Sweden. Getting your beachhead state right is probably the most critical first step to conquering the continent. You get that wrong, and you've basically failed before you've even started.
Okay, so we've talked about being too early. That's a problem. But what about the other side of the coin? Waiting too long can be just as dangerous. Sometimes you're so focused on getting everything perfect that your entire window of opportunity just slams shut.
So let's look at the signs that you might actually be too late to the party. If you've already gone through, say, your Series A, B, and C rounds in Europe, US investors are going to be scratching their heads, wondering why it took you so long to get here. Or what if you haven't filed for a US patent? A competitor might already own your idea in the market. And here's a really common one: waiting for a signed contract before you formally set up your US company.
Now, to really get why that last point is so critical, you have to understand something fundamental about the American market. It is built on speed. It is a market of instant gratification. Customers, partners, they all expect you to be ready to go, like right now. And this quote just says it all. If a US customer is ready to pull the trigger and buy from you, they are not going to wait around for months while you figure out your logistics or your legal paperwork. They'll just find a competitor who's already good to go. Being unready isn't just a delay. In their eyes, it's unprofessional. So let's just compare the two paths here. You could wait for a contract before you incorporate, formally set up your US business as its own legal company. It might seem like the cautious, safe move, but it is a huge risk. Not only will you annoy your very first customer with delays, but you're probably going to sign that first contract with your European parent company. And why does that matter? Because now you've just exposed your entire home business to US legal liabilities. On the other hand, incorporating early, that creates a legal firewall. It protects your core company, and it sends a powerful signal to the US market that you're serious and you are here to stay.
Okay, enough with the doom and gloom. We talked about being too early, we've talked about being too late. Now let's get to the good stuff. The Goldilocks moment. That point where everything is, well, just right. These are the green lights you should be looking for.
So what are the biggest green lights? Well, first off, you have a product that works, not just an idea, and it's already a success in your home market. But you want to know the most powerful signal of all? It's when the US is already coming to you. Are you getting random emails from US customers? Are investors from the States reaching out? Are you already shipping a few products across the Atlantic? If you're seeing that kind of inbound interest, the market isn't just sending you a signal, it's practically screaming at you to come on over. And that, right there, is the ultimate validation.
Of course, market signals are only half the battle. You also have to be ready internally, and that means you've got to be well-funded and financially secure. Your European parent company needs to be a rock-solid, self-sufficient machine that can actually support the US expansion without putting its own survival at risk.
And here is exactly why that self-sufficiency is so important. Do not expect your US business to be profitable overnight. The general rule of thumb is that it takes 3 to 5 years for a new US entity to be able to stand on its own 2 feet financially. And this matters because your parent company absolutely needs the strength and the cash runway to carry that load for the long haul. Because success in the US, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So after weighing all of this, the risks of going too early, the dangers of waiting too late, and the green lights that tell you the time is right, it all boils down to a single decision. It's time to ask your leadership team one final, very critical question. So, let's say you've ticked all the boxes. Your product is proven. Your funding is locked in. The US market is already knocking on your door. The question completely changes. It's no longer if you should go, it's why are you still waiting? In today's economy, that war chest of cash sitting in the bank isn't just sitting there being safe, it's actively losing value to inflation every single day. So the real risk isn't just about moving too soon, it's about the guaranteed cost of waiting too long. So what's your next move?